Are you ready for the Femmes of Rock? Yeah, they play classic rock on violins. That's why TC loves them. It's a very cool act this Friday night. Parks Casino. Also, Sebastian Bach, former lead singer of Skid Row, brings his solo tour to headline on Saturday night. And then the Southern Rock Gods Marshall Tucker Band in August. Australian Pink Floyd, September 7. From the TV show Jersey Shore, the It's Happening podcast live with Snooki and Joey coming to Parks Casino on June 28. Comedian Michael Blaustein, October 25th. Man, oh man, it's like one star after another, all at Parks Casino. This is how you win. And beyond the headliners in the Excite Center, they've also got 115 live table games, 3,200 state-of-the-art slot machines, a beautiful poker room. They've got the sports book and lots of good grub. Parks Grill Steakhouse, Liberty Bell Gastro Pub and Beer Garden, delicious sushi hand rolls at the Bamboo Noodle House. You can check it all out. And New York's finest comedians every other Thursday night with Joe Conklin, your host. Visit parkscasino.com. Parks Casino, this is how you win. You got to be 21. Gambling problem, call 1-800-GAMBLER. Okay, headlines now from the Wednesday edition of the newsletter. Of course, court is dark today, as I've been discussing. We are in the midst of the cross-examination of Michael Cohen. Based on my reading of the trial transcript from yesterday and reports of those in the courtroom, important so as to assess demeanor. Of course, no cameras in that courtroom, which is a huge mistake. I am hearing, I've been saying this for years and said at the outset of this trial, what a crime it really is that we can't watch. And I must say, I'm hearing any number of legal analysts and television hosts saying, hey, how come there's not a camera in that courtroom? And there should be. And there should be. But based on the intel coming from the courtroom, including the transcripts, it seems that there's been no knockout blow in cross-examination thus far of Michael Cohen. Have they banged him up as to credibility? For sure. But was there any gotcha Perry Mason kind of moment? There has not been. He'll be back on the stand tomorrow. What we do know now, this is a bit of a surprise to me. I thought they would have somebody after Michael Cohen. I wasn't sure who, but the prosecutors say, no, he's going to be the final prosecution witness. And then the ball gets into the court of the defense counsel. Todd Blanche told Judge Mershon yesterday that there's still no decision as to whether Trump will testify. I don't believe that's the case. I think that's just to keep the prosecution off balance. They've got to work up a cross-examination of Donald Trump as if he would testify. I don't expect that he will testify. And the real question, it seems to me, is whether the defense presents any evidence. Because the burden, as it always is totally on the side of the prosecution. So they don't need to do a thing. No, Your Honor, we're not calling any witnesses. We don't think that the prosecution has established its burden, and then make a motion for a directed verdict, which will be denied, but then the jury gets the case. And, I think it's funny. I've gone back and forth in different of my own cases and other cases that I've analyzed. It depends on the particular set of circumstances, but the jury instructions, the charge that is given to the jury, I think in this case could be important because of the complexity of what Trump is being prosecuted for. The misdemeanor charge of falsifying business records. And this is where it gets really confusing, that Trump knowingly and willfully intended to violate election law. And this is what I refer to as the alley-oop. I assume they've got him on the misdemeanor, on the falsification of the records. But whether it's a violation of election law and that's the necessary felony, that's complicated. That's the whole Lee Zeldin conversation that I had earlier in the week in terms of, well, what exactly is the charge and why isn't it clearly articulated? And that which Trump picked up on when he came out of the courtroom and name-checked me the other day. And then, of course, there's the question of, does any of it matter if he is convicted? If he is convicted in this case, I think it's going to be the poll question. I discussed it with Mark Halpern. I think it'll be the poll question tomorrow. Or is it all baked in? I mean, you can just see how the Republican side of the aisle regards the momentum as being on their side as evidenced by the fact that you've got the House Speaker showing up and all of these VP wannabes. Hey, TC, you know what I was just thinking? You know who we haven't seen in court?
Who?
And it would be really interesting.
Haven't we seen everybody?
Kristi Noem.
Oh.
Kristi Noem.
Oh, what a significant absence. Oh.
Yeah. Wouldn't it be?
Yeah, I don't know.
If she were to show up?
If she were to show up, that would be huge because everyone's saying, it is everyone's auditioning for VP stakes. So if she were to show up, yes, that would definitely make news. The fact that she hasn't and maybe will not, I find significant.
You've got to go there and kind of publicly kiss the ring and swear your allegiance
Mr.
by
Speaker.
being willing to be, in the camera lens.
Yep,
as
absolutely.
Trump is facing a criminal prosecution.
It's unbelievable.
It's unbelievable.
You
it's
couldn't make
unbelievable.
any of this up.
My sense of it is, like, if Talk the sequel had this whole chapter, nobody'd believe it. It's too fantastical.
Michael, I think about Talk every single day as I'm watching the news and all these characters and everything's happening and it's a different, it's a different one every day. I think about that and how it's just too much.
Yep, totally. Well, anyway, time marches on for the Trump trial. They'll be back at it tomorrow. Poll results related to this issue yesterday. I kind of thought there'd be even more voting. 26,709 votes cast, agree or disagree with Fareed Zakaria. 53.09 disagree. 46.91 agree with what? Quote, this happens to be true in my opinion. I doubt the New York indictment would have been brought against a defendant whose name was not Donald Trump. And today's poll question at Smerconish.com, will RFK Jr. obtain the necessary ballot access and polling averages to make it to the debate stage? Depending on your poll, he's somewhere in the 9 to 15% range. He needs to be at 15% in order to make it to the debate stage, assuming there are debates, and he's got to appear on enough state ballots to get to 270, theoretically, in electoral votes. And by the way, this is why California was so big for him, getting on the ballot. What was it called? Like the Naturalist Party or some such thing? I don't know. But he was able to get on the California ballot by being, the candidate of a party that nobody's ever heard of. California has 54 electoral votes. And Texas, where it's now said he's got twice the number of signatures required, Texas is 40 electoral votes. Okay, so that's 94 electoral votes between the two. That puts him like a third of the way there. New York, where he also says he's got what he needs, is 28. So by focusing on these big states, what he's really trying to do is put the pieces of the puzzle together so that he can get to 270. And he's got to be at 15% on average in order to make it to the debate stage. TC, speaking of RFK Jr., another of our great cartoonists, illustrators, Rob Rogers, on the worm theme today. Do you want to comment?
I think it's so clever. And I'm looking at the faces of RFK Jr. and President Trump and the worm and the worm's expression. He's just munching away. Yeah. So it has Trump talking to the worm. I'll leave it at that and definitely go check it out. It's a great one.
Between Kristi Noem and the worm, the dog and the worm.
Yeah.
It's everything. It's everything I always say here about we have no idea and you could never predict. I mean, can you imagine?
Yeah, it's like Animal Planet.
Craziness.
It's Animal Planet over here. Yeah, Mutual of Omaha, Wild Kingdom.
See, and then she came forward and she wrote this book and she said she put down her dog and she also killed the goat, but it took more than one shot with the goat because the goat was hobbling.
You're the only one that remembers the goat. I tell you, Michael, I just have to respect you for that. I appreciate that. Thank you.
Thank you.
No.
Thank you. More headlines now. We'll call them lifestyle headlines from the Wednesday edition of the newsletter. TC, what caught your fancy, please?
Yeah, you have a really good array of headlines that are not necessarily front page news, but really do talk about life. Like Tom Brady commenting that he needs to be a better parent because his kids were really affected by the Netflix roast. This is a piece in Variety headline. Tom Brady says Netflix roast affected my kids and I wouldn't do that again. I'm going to be a better parent as I go forward because of it. it, talking about how he thought it was great when they made fun of him and that they need to do stuff like that more often. But the stuff with the kids, not necessarily the kids, because the kids were a little off limits, but because Giselle was part of it, that was not good. So he did say that he thought it went over the top with Giselle Bundchen.
It's amazing how many after stories there have been about the Brady roast. Isn't it true?
Well, but it's huge on Netflix.
I don't know
everyone's watched it.
Yeah. Everybody's watched it.
Right.
Actually, Dan just told me that he watched it. I think he enjoyed it. I shouldn't speak for him on that subject.
We'll circle back.
By the way, something that also caught my eye about Brady and his reaction to this, he said, it makes you in some ways a better parent going through it. That's what you were referencing. Sometimes you're naive. You don't know. When I signed up for that, I love when people are making fun of me. I'm just reading this literally if it sounds disjointed. I always said when I was going through the Deflategate stuff that I watched 3 things on TV: Premier League soccer, golf, and comedy shows. Every time I turned on SportsCenter, it was like, are you effing kidding me? I just want to laugh. I want to do the roast because Jeff Ross became somebody I knew, but you don't see the full picture all the time. He went on to call the Netflix roast a good lesson for me as a parent. I'm going to become a better parent. What's the deal with Kelly Clarkson? Yay or nay on Ozempic?
Well, she is now saying that she has taken weight loss drugs, but not Ozempic. And I think the line there that she wanted to make sure people knew, first of all, she said in the past that she hasn't taken any weight loss drugs. So people are like, oh, she's lying, blah, blah, blah. I think everyone just needs to calm down. Everyone just needs to calm down. If people are taking weight loss drugs because it helps them lose weight, let them do it. There's a line with Ozempic because people who have diabetes are having trouble getting Ozempic because so many people are using it to lose weight, an off-label thing. It's not supposed to be specifically to lose weight. But because it was so successful in helping people lose weight, the drug companies have now had other drugs with similar same medicine in them, Wegovy, Mounjaro, Zepbound, that then help people lose weight, specifically to help people lose weight. So she was probably taking one of those. She said that her doctor chased her. That was, she said, for 2 years, saying like, you need to lose this weight. She's 5'2". Her highest weight was 203. She said that was just too much on her frame, and she's lost a ton of weight. So she has said she started medication because her blood work got so bad and it was medically necessary. I'm for her. That's the story.
I just had this conversation with somebody close to me yesterday who said that it was recommended for he or she that they go on Ozempic. And then even though the primary care doctor had said, hey, you need this for your health. The insurance company, and it was insurance procured through a big union, wouldn't cover it.
Really?
Which is just nutty to me because, do you want to pay us now or pay us later if, God forbid, something happens to your health that is weight-based?
I remember that caller that we had when we did a segment on weight loss medication, and she and her sister were both overweight, but her sister was right at that threshold of obese, which, the BMI, it doesn't take much. It really doesn't. But if your friend is at that threshold, they absolutely should be covered. No question. So that I find very fascinating to me. I think these prices need to go down. It needs to be more readily available. And I think this could change the health of people not just Americans, but in the whole world. I just think it's incredible.
Other health news: men with low levels of testosterone may be suffering from more than low energy and a lack of sex drive. Researchers from Australia and Europe found men who had low levels of sex hormone below normal limits had up to a 10% higher chance of dying from any cause compared to men who were within a normal range. TC, your analysis.
Well, we like to call it low T, which I think is just brilliant marketing, low T. And they call it the silent epidemic. They said that because the hormone keeps muscles strong and lowers fat, it's interesting what you just said about pay us now or pay us later. This is all part of the same thing. You're keeping, if you have higher levels of testosterone, you have lower levels of fat, that's keeping your whole body healthier, probably being able to move better, keep more active, and it all plays into a healthier package. Ha ha ha. Get it? See what I did there? So yes, high testosterone is better for men.
Drowning deaths
Oh,
surged during the pandemic. It was worse among Black people. The nationwide surge in accidental drowning deaths early during the COVID-19 pandemic. Drowning deaths disproportionately worse for Black people. The Centers for Disease Control and Prevention reported on Tuesday a finding in line with longstanding disparities. I understand why proportionately more Blacks would drown than whites.
why?
I think it's a socioeconomic issue, specifically lack of lessons.
Oh,
Here, I'm
oh
going to
God.
ask you a very simple question. Growing up in Durham,
Raleigh.
I'm sure at the club you had swimming lessons.
I,
True or false?
well, I'm going to go one worse. You know,
Uh-oh.
we learned in the pool in our backyard. Yeah. Yeah. So I know, sorry. Oh gosh. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
No.
Right.
No. I can't tell a lie. Yes. This is
Yeah.
the truth.
Okay.
On Northridge Drive, pool in the backyard. Yes, that's where I learned how to swim. Or probably, I mean, they probably just threw me in on the Cape, but yeah, we definitely learned how to swim.
Right. But the what I don't understand is, and maybe it's because in COVID, the lifeguard positions weren't filled. I can't explain to you.
I don't think the pools were open. I think that's the problem. I think people were trying to.
Well, then where were they drowning? In their bathtubs?
No, in lakes and rivers and streams and. Yeah,
In other words,
right?
you think they got shut out of pools and therefore they went to the local swimming hole?
Yes, that is my assumption because they're
All right,
trying
I don't have a better answer.
cool down
I
that
don't have a better
summer. The
answer.
pools weren't open.
Yeah.
I mean,
I don't know.
think about those
Strange.
early days of COVID, Michael. A pool that would be like a cesspool, literally. Like, I mean, we would have been terrified at that in COVID.
Compared to 2019, drowning rates increased among Black people by 22.2% in 2020,
Sad.
28.3% in 2021. Drowning rates were the worst overall for Black people, as well as American Indian and Alaska Native people in those first 2 years. In 2022, the largest increase was in the Hispanic population. For them, drowning deaths that year climbed 24.8% above levels seen in 2019
I was shocked
before
by that.
the pandemic.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was too. That's why the host of the program made sure that it was included in the newsletter today.
Right.
Where else are you getting these disparate stories?
Life.
Okay. Olivia and Liam?
Olivia and Liam.
What?
And Liam. Yeah, those are
Have
the
you
top.
met a Liam?
I know Liam's, little Liam's.
You
I
do?
don't know any adult Liam. Do I know it? Well, like Liam Neeson, but I don't know.
And
Like people my
Mateo
age named
at
Liam.
number 6?
I know.
Mateo?
Okay, let's say what we're talking about. This is in the
ahead.
newsletter today, directly from the Social Security Administration. Michael, you did not mess around. You did not.
Right.
This is the press release from the SSA.gov. Olivia and Liam reign supreme. The duo are Social Security's top baby names for the 5th consecutive year. I was shocked at that. 5th consecutive year. Only one new name appeared in the top 10 list this year. Only one. And you're right. That was Mateo.
I was so happy to see that Gladys has made a comeback for girls.
Why do you say baloney
And
like that?
Mildred.
Yes.
And Mildred.
Mildred and Gladys.
Mildred was my grandmother. My paternal grandmother
Okay.
was Mildred. Is the pendulum, are we ever going to get away from the she, Liam, Noah, Mateo, and go back to Gladys and Mildred?
And how about Michael's not even on the top 10? How about that?
I know.
Are you offended?
I feel like I've been on air long enough that there have been years when I've said, oh, and Michael is in the top 2.
Well, Emma is number 2. And obviously my daughter's name is Emma. And I don't think I like
Right.
that. I don't like that.
But how about Teresa, Mother Teresa? Where's Teresa?
She's not on there. Teresa or TC. I don't understand, but no. No, the girls are Olivia, Emma, Charlotte, Amelia, Sophia, Mia, Isabella, Ava, Evelyn, and Luna. A lot of ones that end in A. Luna, I was surprised that Luna was the 10th. Right?
Luna and Liam.
Yeah.
Oh, Luna and Liam. They're such a happy couple.
Oh my gosh. All right. Enough out of you.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know. All right, ladies and gentlemen, have some fun. Go to Smerconish.com and vote on today's poll question, which asks, is RFK, I love this question. It does require a little bit of thought and analysis on your part. And what I'm really asking is, can Robert F. Kennedy Jr., if he's at about, let's take 10%, which is a conservative number. If he's at 10% now, can he get to 15% by midsummer? Because the first debate is September. So he's going to need to be at about 15% by the middle of summer. Can he get there? And can he get on the ballot in states that collectively add up to 270? Because if so, then he gets on the debate stage. Now, of course, this does raise the question of, will there be debates? Because Biden told Howard Stern, yeah, I'll debate Trump. And then Trump said, anytime, any place, let's do it at the White House on Monday. But neither of them are embracing the Commission on Presidential Debates, which I find suspect. So go vote on today's poll question. Have some fun with it, and we'll see you tomorrow.